All right, everybody, welcome back to the third episode of season 4 of Tapouts and Touchdowns. As always, it's your guy, Billy Rye, back at it again. Wherever you may be, however you may be listening, thanks for making us part of your day. Presented by Anchor Podcasts, now on Tobacco Road Sports Radio Network, as well as YouTube. Make sure you can still find us wherever it is you get your podcasts. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a review to help others find the show. Other places that you can find the show on social media, on Twitter at Tapouts and TDs, on Facebook, Tapouts and Touchdowns, and the email to the show, tapoutsandtouchdowns at gmail.com. Hope you enjoyed last week's Wrestle Kingdom Night 1 review, because this week we are back with Night 2. Without further ado, the co-host to the wrestling shows is with us once again, PJ Steven. How you doing today, bud?
Boy, howdy. I already had a beer cracked. No, I'm fantastic, man. I have been waiting a whole week just to get into Night 2 with you. I've been begging you if we could do this shit early. You won't let me because you hate me. Now we can finally talk about Night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom, and we get to talk about it with our good friend, the Dingo, is back this week with us for Wrestle Kingdom Night 2. How are you, Dingo?
Good. I'm not doing the howl, but yeah. No, definitely.
About spitting my beer.
No, I'm definitely pumped to talk about this. There's some matches here that I think this has the best last 3 matches in Wrestle Kingdom history. That's my big take here, but these last 3 matches were incredible. But I can't wait to talk about them.
It's not a strange take. It is super, super relevant. So, Bully, let's get into it.
Yeah, man. First and foremost, you said that I wouldn't let you do it early because I hate you. I just want to make it clear that I'm here to throw everything John Cena at you. And since we are gonna get Okada in the main event, the John Cena of New Japan Pro Wrestling, I just want to make sure that you are able to comprehend and soak that in by the time that we get there. As PJ takes off his headset and leaves.
Bye.
It's actually really good timing because we're going to get into the opening bell this week, where we're going to introduce Wrestle Kingdom Night 2. Wrestle Kingdom 16 Night 2 took place January 5th, 2022 from the Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan. If you listened last week, you kind of heard of what we had going on leading into Night 1. We let PJ kind of give some storylines from Night 1. Dingo, how would you like to give the audience a little bit of background for what we can expect in Night 2?
Yeah, Night 2, definitely some major storylines going into this. Obviously, as a result of the main event of Night 1, we've got Teacher versus Student, Ospreay versus Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. You've got Kenta and Tanahashi finally having their rematch for the IWGP United States Championship. We have the blow-off of Naito and Jeff Cobb, which is going to be incredible. Funnily enough, like one of the guys that I love the most, Sonata, in one of the strangest feuds, which is him and Great Khan, which the history of we'll get into a bit later, but to me, that whole storyline reeks of Shane McMahon bullying Braun Strowman into a WrestleMania match for a couple of years ago, if you remember that. But yeah, definitely some good matches on this card. As I said, I think the last 3 matches on this card are the 3 best last matches in probably in Wrestle Kingdom history. But pumped to talk about it. Can't wait. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there is a lot to talk about. And so we're actually going to run through the pre-show matches because there were 3 big tag team matches here in the pre-show that none of us had really anything good to say. So we're going to run through them here on the opening bell. The first match on the pre-show featured Yuji Nagata and Great Bash Heel, made up of Togi Makabe and Tomokai Hanma. Somebody tell me if I butchered that. Was that close enough?
Makabe, but you're pretty close on everything there so far.
They took on the Bullet Club featuring Bad Luck Fale, Guido, and Jado. Did I get that? Jado. See?
Yeah, Gato and Jado.
Yep. The team of Yuji Nagata and Great Bash Heel would actually defeat the Bullet Club here in 6 minutes and 40 seconds. I gave it 1 star. That's about as much as we need to discuss it.
You were more gracious than I was.
Yeah.
Gave it nothing.
Oh yeah, it was ugly. It was an ugly match. If you're gonna watch this show, skip through. If you're gonna watch start at the pre-show, skip the first pre-show match because you're not missing much.
Interesting piece of trivia too. First time Honma has scored a pinfall in the Tokyo Dome in a long time.
That's true.
Good stuff there. The second match on the pre-show was another tag team match. Went 9 minutes, 23 seconds. Master Wato and Tenkozi, a team featuring Hiroshi Tenzan and Satoshi Kojima. They would take on Suzuki Gun, a team of El Desperado, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Taka Michinoku. Did I get those? I knew I got Taka Michinoku right. Nevertheless,
Suzuki Goon.
Suzuki Goon, thank you. Nevertheless, the match was okay. I gave it 2 stars. But again, a 9-minute pre-show, 6-man tag match once again, leading us into, I guess, the main event of the pre-show.
Hold on 1 second. But Bully, I want to interrupt just for 2 seconds because I want to talk about what happened here with El Desperado.
Yes,
Dingo, fill us in here.
What, me or you? Because you wanted to talk about it.
Well, we'll both talk about it, but
we'll talk about it. Yeah, having Desperado basically winning the fight of his life last night, in the first night, jumping out to Wato was a very interesting decision.
And now who will be the next contender for that junior heavyweight championship?
Yep. And that will
Master
that'll likely be at the 50th too.
Yeah, I listen, I'm a strong believer in Master Wato. I think it's something really cool. I think he's a great kid, and I think he's going to be a fantastic wrestler. In the next, maybe 5 to 6 years, I could see him main eventing something. Maybe not with that gimmick because it's kind of silly, but him particularly, I can see really, really moving up. So I was really happy with that.
He also won the match, didn't he? He won the match too with the new finisher.
Yes, he did. That was the thing. It was a new finisher, or a new submission.
It was a new unique submission for the match. I did have a couple notes since we're talking about it really quick. PJ Steven, you and I have talked. This is our 3rd show of season 4, and this is the 3rd match that we've seen a variety of the 3D in this match.
It has. It is.
You mentioned the Wato and Desperado. I loved the action between them, so I can't wait for that match to come. Nevertheless, as a match as a whole, I gave it 2 stars. Again, it's a pre-show match for a reason, which leads us to the last 6-man tag team match, if you can believe it, on the pre-show. Los Ingobernables de Japón, featuring Shingo Takagi, Bushi, and Hiromu Takahashi, taking on Suzuki-gun, Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., and is it Doki? Did I get this right? Dookie.
Yeah.
It's Dookie but it's Doki.
Dookie
because he's Dookie.
Yeah, he's Dookie. Yeah.
That's why I said Dookie.
I got him.
So, last week's show, y'all shit on Taichi pretty hard, and I sat back and had to think about it. There's no way he's singing his entrance song, right? He's got to be lip singing that entrance song.
Oh yeah, no, there's no way.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's very cringe. There was some good action for Hiromu in this match, with really everybody from Suzuki-gun. I gave this match 3.5 stars, considering again, we just saw 2 6-man tag matches. I was kind of done with it at this point. But not a terrible match. It went 10 minutes, 28 seconds. Los Ingobernables go over Suzuki-gun here. But nevertheless, that's your pre-show. Anything you guys want to touch on before we take our first break of the day and really get into the main card of night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom? Dingo, we'll start with you. You got anything you want to go with?
Yeah, so 2 things in the last match, and I only gave it a 2 because, again, pre-show matches, they don't really mean much. Takagi, fall from grace, was in the main event of the first night, barely got on the pre-show of the second night. Feel bad for the dude. Saying that, though, he was dominant through that match. Dookie basically killed live on television. What was interesting, though, was the post-match with, it looks like Hiromu's teasing a move to heavyweight against Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
PJ, anything you want to add about the pre-show before we take our first break of the day?
No, let's get this break over with because I have got the meat on the bones to really get to with this card.
There you go. We're going to take a short break and pay the bills. Coming up next, the Break It Down segment where the 3 of us are going to break down Wrestle Kingdom Night 2. Stay tuned. We will be right everybody. Back. Welcome back to the show, Tapouts and Touchdowns and Break It Down, where Dingo, PJ Steven, and I are going to break down the main card from Night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom. Let's get right into it. Let's go over the match card here. It opens up The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship is on the line. The Flying Tiger, featuring Robbie Eagle and Tiger Mask, taking on the Mega Coaches, Raisuke Taguchi and Rocky Romero. They also take on Bullet Club's cutest tag team, Taiji Ishimori and El Phantasmo. So a triple threat tag team match here for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship to start off the show. Next up, a Stardom exhibition match, tag team match here. Tam Nakano and Saya Kamitani taking on Mayu Iwatani and Starlight Kid. It's meaningful. It's the first time in 20 plus years that a women's wrestling match was featured on the main card of a New Japan show in the Tokyo Dome. So we'll get into that here in a minute. Next up, the provisional King of Pro Wrestling 2022 trophy is on the line. We mentioned last week the final four of the Battle Royal on the pre-show from night one. Minoru Suzuki, Chase Owens, Sema, and Toru Yano are going to go in this fatal four-way match for the trophy. Next up, Never Openweight 6-man tag team championship. House of Torture, the champions Evil. Listen, I'm not going to get this right. Takahashi and Sho taking on the team of
Yujiro Takahashi.
Yujiro Takahashi. You know what I'm saying. Taking on Chaos, Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, and Yo. The Noah promotion will make an appearance. Before we get the final matches on the card, Sonata taking on Great-O-Khan, Tetsuya Naito taking on Jeff Cobb. No disqualification match, the IWGP United States Championship, Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Kenta. And the main event of night two, another match for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Kazuchika Okada taking on Will Ospreay. So let's backtrack here. The opening match on the main card, the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship, is on the line. Dingo, I'm going to open up the floor to you. How'd you feel about this opening match here on night two of Wrestle Kingdom 16?
So this was like a great opening match for the pay-per-view. No matter what, I think opening with a juniors match, they did it on night one. They've also done it again on night two. They've done it the last few pay-per-views for Wrestle Kingdom, but opening with a juniors match is always the right way to go. It's fast-paced, it's action-packed, gets people hyped up for the rest of the card. Notes here, I've got the Bullet Club's cutest tag team theme is hype. I found myself dancing around the apartment listening to it while it was playing, just because that song rules.
I bet you were. I hope there's video of that too.
Oh, there's definitely not. If there is, I'll find a way to purge it from the internet.
Sad face. All right.
But yeah, I love those guys. I've been a big fan of Ishimori ever since he debuted for New Japan. And as we were saying last time, like ELP is a phenomenal wrestler. I think you said, Frick, that that was one of the first times that you've watched Elphaz wrestle, or like you haven't really been familiar with his work?
Until night one of Wrestle Kingdom, was this is the second match that I've seen him wrestling. It's fantastic. I can't say anymore.
So there's something in the match here that probably didn't make sense to you, but we'll kind of break it down a bit later. But which is the actually we'll do it right now. It was the medal in the boot.
Yes, I did notice that.
Spot. What a great spot.
Because they kept mentioning that he's got a loaded boot, and the whole team holds him down to take off his shoe. I loved it, man. What a fun spot.
Yeah, my opinion, they should have done it at the end because I wanted them to win. That's how much I love Bullet Club's cutest tag team, is that I wanted that match. I wanted them to win. Having that done in the middle of the match and then having them essentially just removed from the match because of it, but then only having the match go 2 more minutes didn't make sense. They may as well have committed to it, done it, had them win the titles, then revealed that they actually has the loaded boot with the medal in it, which then could easily set up either Eagles and Tiger Masks for a title match or set them up for another match, because I thought this match was fantastic.
Yeah, I like the match. To your point, I think they ended the match. They went home, so to speak, too quickly after they found the medal in the boot. So I'm right there with you. They should have done it either halfway through the match or at the end. You mentioned they were essentially disqualified for the match, and it became team versus team match. The Flying Tiger, Robbie Eagle and Tiger Mask would get the win over the Mega Coaches after the disqualification removal of the Bullet Club's cutest tag team. Man, there was a botch here. I'm not sure if PJ was going to talk about it because he loves Rocky Romero. He tried a springboard into somewhat of a doomsday device, and it was a huge botch. You also could hear at one point the Bullet Club call out the double under to make them work, sort of like the old Cena calling out Bulldog to the Miz a few years ago. That's kind of what reminded me that reminded me of, I should say. And then again, Phantasmo getting lauded out about having the medal in the boot was a fun spot. It just wasn't at the right moment in the match. PJ, do you have anything to add about this opening match here? I know we've kind of covered a lot, but is there anything that we missed that you think needs to be said about this opening match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships?
Not really. I think you guys covered it pretty well. It was a great match, great opener, and to me, in my opinion, the right guys won.
There you go. There you have it. So next up,
note here, Eagles and Tiger Mask was the right winner.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, totally agree.
I'm going to start us off here with the next match, and then PJ, I'm gonna throw over the Fatal 4-Way to you. The Stardom Exhibition Tag Team match. Man, it went 9 minutes and 14 seconds. It probably could have gone another 5 minutes. I'm not going to lie. This is the first ever 5-star match that I've given to a women's match. The notes, again, first time in 20 plus years, they've been on the main card of a wrestling show for New Japan at the Tokyo Dome. Honestly, this might be the best women's match that I've seen since Bianca and Sasha at last year's WrestleMania. This, it was speed work, man. You don't see a lot of women work with the speed that some of these women were working with in this match. It was really hard hitting at times too. There was a finisher by Kamitani. It was great, just such a great visual finisher. I'll be honest, Starlight Kid, I'm a fan wherever she goes. God, she was so good. PJ, what did you think about this match? Am I off base here, or do you kind of feel the same way that I do?
No, I'm totally with you, man. Like, this match was a 5-star match. I really enjoyed it. It reminded me of something out of 1990s All Japan, man. Fantastic shit here. You know who did a great job too? The commentators did a fantastic job giving you the background and just the style of these women. Yeah, fantastic. Just great. Loved it.
How about you, Dingo? How'd you feel about the match?
So I gave it 4 stars. Loved it though. The only issue I had with it is that these 4 women, right, for the match, for the sake of kayfabe, they were randomly picked. But what's interesting is that each team had a face and a heel on it. So I was really hoping to see the inner conflicts because all 4 of these women have a lot of history with each other. Mm-hmm. Between tag teams and rivalries and that type of thing. So like, Iwatani and Starlight Kid have a rivalry going on. And Nakano and Kamitani also have a rivalry going on. But then like there's also the tag team components to everything. And like, I just feel like they could have done more. I understand why they didn't, because this wasn't a match for New Japan fans. This was a match to get people to buy into the Stardom subscription service.
Agreed. Yeah.
And if you were going to put any 4 women on this card and to have this type of match, granted, it could have gone longer. These are the 4 women that deserved that spot.
Yeah, I think the time was perfect. You know, they went less than 10 minutes. I think that's a great time. I think they were smart about that because let's be real, like the attention span of some of us to this day is just, you know, if you don't get us in the first 30 seconds, you know, we're out looking at our phones. So yes, it could have gone longer for wrestling fans, but to your point, to get them to get on that service, I think it was a perfect time.
I'll tell you what, if I didn't have to go buy a car within the next couple of months, I mean, I know that the subscription service is probably a fraction of what I pay for a car payment, but if they wanted to get people curious as to what Stardom is like, mission accomplished, because again, it's probably the best women's match that I've seen, especially a women's tag team match of that. You know, we get a lot of women's tag team matches in WWE. They have the new women's tag team championships. The Iconics was probably the only like surefire, like true tag team that ever had that title. But you know, the other tag teams have been thrown together. You think of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. You think of most recently Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
I can't believe you.
I know. So, nevertheless, they're really big about throwing these teams together. Considering that you throw the teams together in WWE, and that's again, as an American wrestling fan, that's what I'm used to seeing. Seeing a women's tag team match that was this good was just so shocking and so like pleasantly surprising. I love this match so much. I can't say much enough about this match. If there's you're going to want to watch a lot of matches on this card. This is definitely towards the top of the list on what you want to watch. Next up, I guess I should mention who wins. Nakano and Kamatani. I think I already mentioned Kamatani hits a finisher. They get the win in this match. But next up, the provisional King of Pro Wrestling 2022 trophy is on the line. Again, Minoru Suzuki, Chase Owens, Sema, and Toru Yano. My dude, this is a much shorter match than I was expecting. PJ, why don't you tell us about this match for the KOPW Provisional Championship?
Yeah, it goes 6 minutes here, which is about enough time that you need for a match like this. It didn't need to be very long, quick to the point. I love that Minoru Suzuki went over. Finally, Suzuki can call himself the king and fucking actually have it mean something besides being the king in Tekken. Yeah, I enjoyed it here. I love it. I love the handcuff spot at the end. You know,
it was so
really
random.
Silly. He's just smacking the shit out of these ring attendants.
If you know Yano, that was on brand.
Oh no, it is. Yeah, no argument. But you know, I love Yano just screaming in pain, still stuck in Seema's deathlock with all those spots going on there. I thought it was fun, man.
I got that noted specifically when I write it. The spot where Seema had Yano in the leg lock, hit Owens with the suplex, then faced off against Suzuki was the moment of the show so far.
Yeah,
it really was.
I thought it was fun stuff here, man. Like I really enjoyed it.
So for fans that don't know what we're talking about, imagine you getting somebody in like a almost like I wouldn't call it a sharpshooter, but it's essentially a sharpshooter where the only thing locking it in is his leg.
It's the start of the Indian Deathlock.
Yes, and so every time he gets chopped or hit by Suzuki, he takes a flat back bump and just goes after Yano's legs every time, and it's one of
every
the
time he
funniest things to
bumps.
watch.
Every time he bumps, you hear Yano scream in pain.
Oh, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it is really good, man. Great spot there.
Yeah, again, you mentioned Suzuki went over. Dingo, is there anything else that you want to add to this match?
Apart from the fact that it's always fun to watch Yano get the shit kicked out of him, which was the opening spot of the match. All three guys, just Yano on the ground screaming out while Seema, Owens, and Suzuki just continued to lay boots to him. Loved that. And I actually think this, as well as the Rambo, if you didn't know who Seema was before, you know who he is now.
Yeah,
they were both excellent showcases for him, considering he's not a New Japan guy, which I thought was a really interesting decision. Additionally, as we said, Suzuki won the match. Basically, you know, I call this the New Japan 24/7 title, which is kind of what it is in a way. It's going to be hard to beat him. I think he's actually going to carry this to the whole way to the end.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah.
He should.
Yeah.
I gave this match 3.5 stars. Did anybody give it higher or lower than 3.5?
I gave it 3. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. There we go. Next up, the Never Openweight Championship. I should say the Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Championship. The House of Torture of the Champions that features Evil, Yujiro Takahashi, and Sho taking on the team of Chaos, Hiroku Goto, Yoshihashi, and Yo. I wouldn't call it a rematch, but we got Yo versus Sho in night 1. So they are on opposing teams here in night 2. You know, I wrote in my notes, first of all, it went 9 minutes, 37 seconds. I didn't have much to say about it. Decent match with some gaga towards the end. I gave it 2.5 stars. Dingo, is there anything that you, in particular, you want to talk about this match featuring this 6-man tag team match? And also, while I've got you here, because I know PJ sort of alluded to it before, can somebody explain to me the concept of the never open weight division?
So basically the way that the IWGP stuff is set up is that you have a junior division and you have a heavyweight division. Okay. Never is just completely open weight. So you can see you'll see a guy like Hiromu take on Suzuki. It's kind of where you can see those crossovers between divisions. There's no weight limits.
So I would kind of relate that to the X division, but the X division was almost a cruiserweight championship, except for the fact that Samoa Joe was an X division champion. So
yeah,
okay,
very similar. Like kind of. There were still heavyweights that were going into the X division, when at the time when it was being treated essentially like a cruiserweight division. But yeah, literally never, like it's called never open weight, which I can't even remember what the never stands for anymore. But
it's an acronym. Essentially, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's an actual acronym. It's let me pull it up. I got it right here.
While you're looking it up,
basically where IWGP's split between junior, which is lightweight, and heavyweight, anyone can challenge for any title inside the open weight.
While you're looking it up, PJ, how'd you feel about this match? Anything in particular that stood out to you for this match?
Just everything is evil.
Everything
is evil. Now we have evil 2 belts here, and he's going to be running wild.
Here we go.
Never open weight stands for New Blood, Evolution, Valiantly, Eternal. Thank you, Eternal and Radical.
Yeah, I just had it as you started saying it.
Well, Radical, just like the board that you got behind you right there. Look at you, Dingo, working that in.
So these were also
speaking of that, totally off topic. I noticed you have the Assassin's Creed 3 statue back there. I have that same one. Did you get that from the special edition PS3 thing?
Yeah,
that's tremendous. I have the same thing.
I'm kind of jealous of both of you now because that was the only game that I wanted to get because it was the American Revolution and. Now I want to find
Assassin's Creed 3 was really good. That remaster that they did was fucking dog trash. But you know what? It was not dog trash. I gotta say, was the invasion of Noah coming into fucking Wrestle Kingdom right now.
Oh, I had one more thing to say about the House of Torture match.
Oh, go ahead.
Goto going 0-2 at Wrestle Kingdom is a travesty, but Evil going 2-2 at Wrestle Kingdom is a bigger travesty. Let's move on to Noah.
Everything is evil. Let's move on to Noah. Noah was not evil. That is so fun, man. I'm kind of just taking it here, so I apologize. But just the Noah guys coming out being led by the fucking Great Muta. I mean, that is a force to be reckoned with, man. They cut a terrific promo. LIJ comes out there, Takagi, Hiromu, and Bushi. They're doing they're counting heads there. They're telling good stuff without doing a damn thing, and I loved that. I think it was a nice little break from the action, and I had a lot of fun there. Of course, night 3 at Wrestle Kingdom that took place January 8th would be Noah versus New Japan Pro Wrestling. We saw some fantastic matches there as well, so this kind of led up to it. But, man, good stuff.
Dingo, I'm not familiar with Noah versus New Japan. Do you have anything to add to what PJ had to say about this invasion angle?
Not really. So a while ago, it was announced that they were doing a 3-night Wrestle Kingdom, which at the time everyone was like, God, what are they going to do with a third night? It was then announced that it was going to be the third night. The third night was announced to be a New Japan Noah crossover event where all the ticket sales, money raised from it, pay-per-view, all of that is actually going to go to charity. So it was a really cool idea to have these two promotions work together that really never worked together. It's arguably like if WWE and AEW decided they were going to do a cross promotion pay-per-view for charity in Japan.
God,
very
could you
similar.
imagine?
Lots of history in both companies.
Could you imagine an AEW WWE? We're gonna have to. Dingo, we're gonna have you on for like a fantasy booking invasion angle AEW versus WWE because that'd be incredible.
Yeah, I'm for that 100%. I do want to note specifically though with the promo, there was a couple of interesting notes from the promo that I've got here. I did note that it did a good job of building that show because before that, really, outside of the initial announcement, there hasn't really been a lot of promotion for that Wrestle Kingdom Night 3. It was kind of just relying on its own name value alone that these two companies are going to go at it. What I wasn't a fan of was Shingo to Takahashi and Bushi coming out. While yes, it did build to the semi-main event, which was going to be them, and I can't remember who was in the semi-main event. I'll have to pull those details up if one of you guys want to. But having the three of them go out against the entire Noah roster made New Japan kind of look a little weak. And I'm not sure if you guys kind of feel the same.
So I do agree with that. The only thing I'll say is like I expected like Noah to maybe turn around, and then there were some more New Japan guys coming down the ramp. So I agree with you on that. There should have been something else there. But think about it this way: it's no different. It's no different than WCW booking the bullshit with like making it look like Sting could take out making it look like the Outsiders could take out the entire WCW locker room with baseball bats. It had a lot of those vibes, except not trash.
The other note here I've got is Kano making a comment specifically about New Japan quality taking a dip will make Noah the number one promotion. Kind of stung a little bit. Like, you know, there's been a lot of criticism, mainly through the pandemic, but it's been a lot of it has been since the Bucks, Kenny, and Cody left, that New Japan quality has taken a dip because there was such a reliance on those guys. They didn't have the next generation of foreign talent built up. So they've had to kind of rely back on a lot of the name recognition of the guys that are already there. That kind of felt like a bit of a stab in the back at New Japan. So, you know, I haven't watched Night 3 yet. I know Night 3 will be on New Japan World by the time this comes out. Mm-hmm. You know, I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I based purely on his comment relating to that, this show is now an instant watch.
I saw the main event, the tag team match, and it was pretty sweet. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, that's the last two matches on that show I'm really interested in, because there's a lot of talent between, you know, both. I think it was like 10 guys in the last two matches.
Yeah, the main event was Tanahashi and Okada, which is, I mean, your New Japan, like, you know, wet dream against Kenji and Kato. And yeah, that tag team, Kato had some of the best showing of all three nights. But we're not talking about Kato. We're not doing that right now. We're talking about
New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 16. So I do want to mention again, I said I didn't know anything about Noah versus New Japan, but I am a sucker for wrestling attire, and sort of like the match on night one where it was supposed to be the shoot wrestle or the catch wrestling match. I was an amateur wrestler in high school, so the fact that they all came out in like warm-ups to go to the ring visually was so appealing to me, and I, you know, more so than anything else, it gave you that feel of shit is about to go down. With all that being said, we are to the back half of the show. The next match on the card, Sonata taking on the Great Okan. PJ alluded to it in the night one show that it's a unique little, maybe it was Dingo, it doesn't matter. There was a unique little rivalry going on here. Dingo, why don't you start us off here? Sonata and the Great Okan, do you have anything of note to say about this match?
Yeah, I mean, my main notes here, I only gave it 2 stars out of 5. I love both these guys. They could have put on a way better match than what was given to us. In saying that, the parts of the match that I did like, you know, Okan showing no fear and turning his back to Sonata during Sonata's entrance, which Sonata has one of the best entrances in the game, in my opinion.
Yep.
Showing him his back open, you know, clear as day, just showing no fear. Love it. Match was okay. It could have been better. I love both of these guys, but the biggest, weirdest thing about this match is that how many dives have we seen throughout these whole two shows? Why did the refs stop Okan from doing the dive?
Yeah, I don't know either. I think it was an excuse to have him like just not do the dive, you know? The big man's gonna do the dive. Oh, the ref stopped him.
Dumb.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Other thing I've got noted here, Sonata getting the win with a roll-up trash finish. Not a fan.
Yeah, it was.
It was their way to keep Great Okan strong, so I get why they did it. I felt like the match was just soulless and empty, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I wrote that it was my least favorite match in night 2 so far, and it would go down as my least favorite match of night 2. 13 minutes and 21 seconds, so it was relatively long considering how unimpactful it was. We're not going to talk about unimpactful with this next match. Petsuya Naito taking on Jeff Cobb. Friend of the show, the Fresh Prince, aka Kamish, did a signing at a booth years ago with one Jeff Cobb. I mentioned I'm a fan of Jeff Cobb before this, but again, I mentioned in the week 1 show Rhino and Roman Reigns' love child is Jeff Cobb. Lucas, you started us off with the last match. PJ, start us off. What did you have to say about Naito and Jeff Cobb?
This match was exactly what I wanted it to be. It reminded me of last year Wrestle Kingdom with Shingo Takagi and Jeff Cobb. That was a tremendous match, and this reminded me a lot of that. Wasn't quite as hard hitting as that, but with Naito's grace in the match, it just made for great chemistry. We go 15 minutes 34 seconds here, and just Cobb gets messed up, man. It's like he sees his own blood, becomes enraged, and just starts just tossing bombs at Naito. We get Tetsuya Naito going over on Jeff Cobb here. Fantastic things here. We told a great story. I could go 4.5 stars on this, maybe 5 on a good day. What do you guys think? Great finish as well.
Dingo, shoot it over to you. How'd you feel about this match?
And I gotta touch on one more thing. It was the most, and let me watch my words here. Besides maybe the main event, but even still, this match had the best psychology out of everything on night 2, in my opinion.
All right, Dingo, it looks like you've got a different opinion here.
Yeah, no, mine's the United States title match, but we'll talk about that later. So big thing, obviously with Will. I've been a big fan of Cobb since Lucha Underground when he was Matanza.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And hearing the stories of how nice this dude was with Will and everything, I've been a big fan of this guy for a long time. Seeing him in a spot this high in New Japan is incredible. Seeing only where he was not even a decade ago. Cobb committing straight up violent crime against Naito was just amazing to watch. It also gave me this really interesting thing, right? Where as I was watching it, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, this could be a hot take. I think this is the spot that Michael Elgin was supposed to be in.
I can agree to that because this reminded me of their match in 2017
in Osaka.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's so funny. Yeah,
I've literally written here, put Naito in a fight from underneath style match, which we haven't seen since Elgin in 2017 at New Beginning in Osaka.
Damn.
So, yeah, look the same wavelength.
Look at you.
I'm glad I have y'all on the show because y'all know more about New Japan.
Yeah.
This is
again, that was another match. You don't really see Naito in a fight from underneath style. Naito was very psychological. He gets in people's heads. That didn't work on the guy that can just beat the shit out of him. Something that I did notice though, and it was something that was very prominent through the match was Cobb's knee. I'm not sure if he's working through an injury or not, but he was selling that knee to the point that I thought he was legitimately injured.
Yeah, great selling by Cobb here. I was rooting for Cobb, but Dingo, to your point, he's high up on the card here. Having this match, even in a loss against Naito, is a great match for him to put on his resume. So,
agree.
Great spot here for Jeff Cobb. Again, you mentioned he had great selling. I thought it was great psychology here that Naito was working on that leg the entire match. Again, we get Naito going over, but a really great match. I didn't quite give it 4.5 stars. I gave it 3.5. I love the match. I don't know why I gave it 3.5 stars other than just because I guess I want to compare it to others. And then one of the things I'm going to compare it to is the next match on the card. The IWGP United States Championship, Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on the champion Kenta. Dingo, I think we may have just lost PJ.
No, that's all right. I'll while we sort that out, I'll go through my notes here. Who else could get away with starting a semi-main event with a lightsaber kendo stick fight?
Oh man, dude. It's not that I marked out for it because you're in a wrestling match and I'm like, God, this is so dumb. But at the same time, you're like, oh my God, this is incredible. It was dumb, incredible to the point where you can't hate it,
Yeah.
It's obnoxious for the sake of being obnoxious, but it helps to okay, the kendo sticks are going to get used in this match at some point.
Yeah, it was dumb fun. And Tanahashi's kind of at that point in his career where he can now have the dumb fun matches. He's done the serious matches for most of his career. He can now have the fun stuff. I've also got noted here. I love seeing how Kenta is being treated in New Japan versus his WWE run. And I get that, sometimes I don't like making these comparisons. He was injured for a lot of his WWE career, which is unfortunate, but seeing how he's treated in New Japan as a as a high level star, whereas in WWE he was essentially in the mid card of main event.
Well, that or making his buck in NXT for that matter. Like,
yeah,
I mean, he spent most of his WWE career when he was healthy in NXT, and then, like you said, the injury sort of got to him, and he just wasn't ever able to get to that next level. And a lot of fans of New Japan and Japanese wrestling in general wanted at the time Kota Ibushi to have that chance to excel, and he just for whatever reason couldn't get healthy in WWE. So
other notes here, I'll run through them quick. New Japan does new disqualification matches like no other promotion, in my opinion.
So good.
They are willing, and it kind of comes in away from having a limited run of like shows. They don't do 300 shows a year. They maybe do 120 at most. So they can really put their bodies on the line for the sake of the entertainment. And not only that, this is a Wrestle Kingdom show. You're going to watch these two high level guys go at it as hard as they can.
Oh yeah.
Tanahashi as well also paid off a spot from a few shows ago where he was powerbombed onto a chair stack by Kenta with the sling blade, doing almost the exact same spot onto a set of chairs with the sling blade. I thought that was pretty cool. Another note here, I wrote it for the sake of a joke, but commentary putting over the idea during the match of Kenta versus Shibata had me fully erect. Because like Kenta and Tanahashi, right, in a no DQ match, I was like, this is probably going to be as good as it gets. And I previously talked that, obviously the long-term booking here is with Shibata specifically is Kenta, but even they were teasing a Kenta Shibata no DQ match. And I'm like, if it can be as half as crazy as this, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, this match was phenomenal, Dingo. The one thing that got me was when Kenta brought in the tall ladder, and he had to put it together. Put it together.
Kenta building the ladder and stalling was kind of hilarious, is what I've got noted here.
Oh yeah,
and then as well, he even tried to get Red Shoes to help him build the ladder, and Red Shoes is like, "Yeah, I'm not."
Yeah, dude. Like, I'm the referee. Like, what are you doing? So here's what also got me. So we mentioned it in the week or in the night one show that the fans, because of the pandemic, are not supposed to be audible. They're not supposed to be vocal. And they were so nervous about these ladder spots that it was the first time that you heard them make any vocal noise. The first time when Kenta was getting pushed off the ladder, you could hear them kind of like, kind of nervous about him. Yep. And then when you saw Tanahashi going up the ladder, because you knew what was coming, it was sort of like a scared, excited. And again, that was the first time in 2 nights that they're not supposed to be vocal, but they cannot help themselves to evoke that sort of reaction when they've been deliberately and specifically said, no cheering, no noise, like all you can do is clap. It's a big deal that they were able to draw that sort of emotion out of that crowd.
I've got a note here too, specifically with that ladder spot, that Tanahashi embracing the violence, because he's a wrestler's wrestler. He's not a violent wrestler. He doesn't do that type of stuff.
Exactly.
So seeing him finally at the end of the match, embracing the violence and going for the high fly flow off the top of the ladder, I've got here is truly a holy F moment that this double night pay-per-view was missing. These types of like moment, this will be a famous moment when people think of Wrestle Kingdom 16. This will be one of the high moments.
So let me ask you a question. If this is a moment people are going to think about. I wonder if over the next 7 years, how many people are going to think about Red Shoes running under the big ladder? I mean, it's 7 years bad luck if you run under the ladder. Red Shoes just
maybe. Who knows?
I mean, I'm just saying, like that's probably going to be a big moment too that people aren't going to really talk about. But I think we should. I think we should pay attention to Red Shoes for the next 7 years.
I think we're underselling the ladder too. This thing was 30 feet high.
Well, not only was it 30 feet high, but it was not a WWE sturdy ladder. No. It was a flimsy, skinny, like Rey Mysterio would be heavy for this ladder. Like that was what was freaky to me. But it went 22 minutes, 40 seconds again. Tanahashi gets the win over Kenta with the dive off of the ladder through the table. I gave this match 4 stars. Dink, I'm assuming you probably gave it 5. Would that be accurate?
4.5.
4.5 stars. What a
4.5,
match.
yeah.
What a match here. The penultimate match of the pay-per-view. And PJ, you've rejoined us here in a new location, so that's always fun. Do you have anything to add about the U.S. title match here between Tanahashi and Kenta?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and like I was telling Dingo earlier, trying to set up in this new location here. Technical difficulties are always super fun, but no, I think it was literally one of the coolest matches in New Japan. This is a match I really enjoyed because it was something different for Wrestle Kingdom. You don't see a lot of like no disqualification, basic hardcore matches in Wrestle Kingdom. I love the beginning with the kendo stick fight. It's almost like a lightsaber
we mentioned that
fight.
too. Yeah,
I mean, good shit. The final ending spot was just tremendous. You really saw Kenta get fucked up. I mean, just tremendous blood poured out of his face. We find out that he not only had a broken nose, but he had a lot of lacerations. He's out. He wasn't able to compete in night 3 on January 8th because of this match. The right guy won.
Is that why? I didn't know about the broken nose.
Yeah. Broken nose, lacerations. He had a something with his hip, dislocated hip, I believe. He was fucked up.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I was going to say it. He and Ridge Holland have something in common, but it sounds like it sounds like
okay.
It has a lot worse.
Dislocated left hip, broken nose, tendon damage to his finger, several lacerations. Yeah.
Well, Dingo and I were just talking about his injury history in WWE. I guess this was his match in New Japan to
the shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, like if you're gonna go all out. If you're going to go all out, do it in a no DQ match with Tanahashi in the semi-main event of Wrestle Kingdom.
Hey, you can't call it all out. This isn't AEW. You can't call it all out, okay?
You're right. Sorry, I said the wrong pay-per-view, didn't I?
Yeah. Start it over. No, I just love the final image of that match is just Tanahashi pinning him with the blood-stained table and the blood-stained face. Great stuff here.
Very powerful imagery indeed. But guys, we've made it. The main event of night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom 16. The IWGP World Heavyweight Championship is on the line. Kazuchika Okada, who won the championship in night 1, will now get Will Ospreay as the challenger in night 2. The gimmick of he is the real champion because he never lost
the Commonwealth Kingpin. Get it correct.
So nevertheless, he also called Okada the fake champion. All from night 1. He's going through it with this match. I'm going to open the floor and I'm going to let Dingo start us off because I wrote one note. There was absolute art of pro wrestling at its finest. I gave this match 5 stars. I'd like to give it more than 5 stars, but I'm not going to be Dave Meltzer and be hypocritical. My star limit stops at 5. Dingo, what do you have to say about what might possibly already be the match of the year in 2022 between Okada and Will Ospreay?
So, I've given it 5 stars, but I have problems with it. The main problem I have is that we're in this again because we talked about it on the last show. Okada and Ospreay 2 is supposed to be teacher versus student again, right? Ospreay should be wrestling in the mindset of a heel. But there were moments where he was wrestling like that babyface junior from only a few years ago. He was going up. He was getting the crowd amped up for high spots. He was, he was reverting in a way back to someone that he used to be that he no longer is, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Those are the things that took me a little out of the match because it was now more about getting the pop than it was about telling the story. But story for me was still pretty great. I've got here again, I said it last time, Ospreay's a great dickhead heel. His banter, especially specifically when the ring boys, when he was whistling at the ring boy and telling him to come over to take his belt. That was a great moment.
I love that he yelled at Red Shoes. Sorry to cut you off, but I love that he was yelling at Red Shoes like how he literally said how fucking disrespectful. Like, don't show me that fake title.
Yeah. I love that.
Like, I've got the real title. Go ahead and hold the fake one up if you want to.
Yeah, that's
and
what I
then-
mean. Like his banter is just, like I said, if you get a British guy to just banter you on anything, you'll hear some incredible shit. And he was coming out with just some really funny things that, again, to a degree, took me out of the match. But he was doing it in a way that, like, you knew he was supposed to be the bad guy. I've got here specifically first 15 minutes of the match, good but not great. Last 15 minutes of the match, absolutely fucking mental.
Yeah.
The last 15 minutes of this match were insane. And a big part of this match as well is that Okada, like, I don't think Okada sometimes gets enough credit for his ability to, like, within the context of his matches, making someone come to his level. And not a matter of elevating other people, but, like, for example, again, Ospreay is a very much a high-flying guy. Has been his whole career. Even in the change to heavyweight, he still does his high-flying stuff, but he doesn't rely so much on power moves anymore, despite the fact that he's gotten bigger. As I said earlier, Ospreay started wrestling again like a babyface junior. So Okada was kind of cutting him off in a lot of the more acrobatic and athletic moves that he kind of had to force Ospreay into a more traditional style that Ospreay's not comfortable wrestling. So it was really interesting to see that Okada could get Ospreay to have a more traditional technical match. But, like, that's not the type of match that Ospreay has, but it was still phenomenal.
Oh, you mentioned the last 15 minutes being mental. I guess I should mention it was the longest match on the card, 32 minutes and 52 seconds. I guess I'll spoil it. Okada would go over Ospreay here in this match. The transitions from them fighting off each other's finishers over and over and over again. It wasn't like I wasn't like wondering, okay, can we just get to a finish now? Like, I was legitimately wondering, okay, when is it gonna give? And when is it gonna time to see that finish? PJ, I'm gonna open the floor to you now. How'd you feel about Okada Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom 16?
Undoubtedly the best match of both nights. Fantastic main event. They told the story that everybody was waiting to hear, everybody wanted to hear, everyone wanted to see. Just tremendous stuff here. As you mentioned, the last 15 minutes, I say the last 20 minutes of this match were just ridiculous. Back and forth. I will never forget how fantastic of a drop kick Okada has. I mean, and that shit comes out of nowhere. It's basically it's his RKO out of nowhere.
Funny that you bring up Orton, because I think him and Orton have the best drop kicks in professional wrestling.
Yeah, I can agree to that. And they just did so well with this. And I want to touch on something that we didn't touch on night one last week. After the post-match promo that Will Ospreay cuts on Okada, calling him an actor and to just go be an actor now. And now Okada goes over on Will Ospreay with a tremendous Rainmaker. We get them doing their finishers to each other. And Will Ospreay sold the Stormbreaker so hard. He was probably like, man, why the fuck can't anyone sell it like I can? My own move, It
was so good too, man.
It really was. I want to get your guys' opinion real quick. What do you guys think of the money clip?
Overhated.
You hate it?
Overhated. I think it's great.
I think I mean,
so many people are used to him doing the Rainmaker that when he tried to transition into something that was more technical, people just wanted the Rainmaker. They were happy with the Rainmaker. It was like when John Cena, not to get on the John Cena train here again, but it was like when John Cena transitioned off the AA into the STFU.
Yeah. So first of all, you mentioned the promo where he told him to go act. That's another Cena similarity here, telling him to go act. Cena's in Hollywood now. Anyway,
I'm ignoring everything you're saying.
No, the submission. I like the submission.
Yeah,
but it's not sold as something like it sort of to me reminds me of what was Ted DiBiase's move that he would pass on to the ringmaster Stone Cold Steve Austin.
$1 million.
The $1 million. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called.
The $1 million dream.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the $1 million dream, but I guess commentary and WWE was able to sell that $1 million dream is going to put somebody out.
Yeah.
Okada's submission, it's not sold that way. I feel like if he could put some people down with that, like even the Undertaker transitioned to a triangle choke at one point in his career, and it was useful, and it put out Brock Lesnar. So like you've got, if you're going to let him use a submission like that, because it's unique, it's not something we see on a regular basis, but you have to make it at least believable that it can actually put somebody down. Otherwise, it's no better than a transitional DDT that at one point would have finished a match. But it's just a transition to the next move, and that's what I don't like about it.
It's not. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I do want to say it's not that I don't like it. I think it's just a bit underwhelming. I agree with Frick to a point, because I wish that it was just something just a little better, a little greater. But that being said, maybe I'm asking for too much. It is very simple, and that's what Okada's all about, simplicity. And I'm not saying it has to be some redefined leg lock. But no, I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on it. But I agree with what you say as well, Dingo. Everyone's so used to the Rainmaker and how fun it is, and how just not out of nowhere rather, but just how simple it is. That I think people were a little like, oh, something new. Us wrestling fans, sometimes we don't love something new. But no, I like it.
What's the word Daniel Bryan used? Fickle.
That is my favorite word. That is my favorite word to describe any fan of anything. Heavy metal, Star Wars. I mean, we could talk about Last Jedi on another fucking podcast, but we're talking about Wrestle Kingdom 16. And to finish
definitely
up
a whole other
this
podcast.
You ain't lying. To finally finish up for this main event. Yeah, I mean, I know you have your rule about 5 stars, can't go over that, but I've been called worse by better people, a hypocrite. I am going with the 6.5 stars. I mean, good God, man, this match was great. It didn't quite beat, like, my favorite main event is Ibushi and Jay White for the double belts.
That was phenomenal. That was a great show.
It really was. This is in my top 5, not only because of the match itself, but because of the story it told.
Well, fellas, that was Break It Down, where we broke it down night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom. Coming up next, the main event, we are going to give a slight recap of what we just went over and give you some stuff to look forward to in the near future. And we're going to give you some exciting information, what my guy Dingo and PJ Steven has coming up. So stay tuned for the main event coming up next right here on Tapouts and Touchdowns. All right, everybody, welcome to the main event of the evening. A quick reminder where you can find me on social media, on Twitter at Tapouts and TDs, Facebook Tapouts and Touchdowns, and the email to the show tapoutsandtouchdowns@gmail.com. We've got some exciting shows coming for you in the near future. Starting off, I believe, next week, PJ, we're going to be reviewing some of the best of the Royal Rumbles coming up next. We've got some, then we're going to obviously have Royal Rumble 22 right around the corner, but some exciting shows weekly here for Tapouts and Touchdowns. But before we get in, before we close out the show, I always like to give guests some time to kind of fill in the audience on what they have coming up. Dingo, you are a Twitcher. That's a word that I decided to make up before we started recording.
What a boomer.
Shows.
Boomer.
Dingo, you are active on Twitch. Why don't you give us a little background on what you do on Twitch and where people can find you to look up your content?
Yeah, I mean, Twitch is kind of self-explanatory. I just play video games on there. Haven't a lot recently, but that will be something that will be changing in the next couple of weeks to months. Looking to get way more active back on there again, but mix it up between essentially Fortnite, whatever new games are coming out, that type of thing. Fortnite's something I've just picked up recently, so that's pretty much it. I'll drop all the links as well to Ryan for the description and stuff. But I'm on there and I'm on Twitter pretty regularly too. So what's your handle on Twitch and Twitter? Just to go ahead. It's McThorson, but it won't make sense until you actually see the link. But it's MCTH, like MC and then Thor and then SOME So, but that'll all be in the description and stuff probably.
Sounds good.
Cool.
PJ Steven, I know we mentioned you've got some writing going on here. What do you have going on coming up with Guardians Warlock in the near future?
So before I get into that, Dingo, I just got to ask you, have you ever played? Can I make a request for you to play something on your Twitch?
Yeah, for sure. I'm always looking for more stuff to play.
Have you ever played? Well, you probably have played this, but this is one of my favorite games in the world. You ever played Elder Scrolls Oblivion?
Yeah, of course.
Can you play that on your Twitch and just have
I don't
just do
have
commentary?
like 400 hours to dedicate to playing that one game.
Well, like just play like a little bit of it.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
Yeah, do that, please.
All right.
Actually, I'm gonna find out if it's on the PlayStation Store because I'm playing on PS5 with a lot of my stuff. So
it's on PlayStation Now.
PlayStation Now isn't in Australia, which is where I am.
Oh, it's not in Australia.
Yeah, no, that's a whole other conversation we'll have to have.
I guess that's the trade-off. You guys get movies early, but you don't get PlayStation Now.
Yeah, we get Marvel movies early, so I have to keep my mouth shut for 2 weeks before I can say anything. But
you don't get Peacock in Australia either. You're still running on WWE Network, are you not?
We're still running on WWE Network, yeah.
God,
and we also
I wish we were on the fucking network. I hate Peacock.
And we also
I love Peacock. I love Peacock. Yeah,
number
sponsor.
1, Peacock number 1. We also have the AEW library through Fight. So we have actually AEW on demand over here. So
okay, sick.
That's also pretty cool. I know that the AEW is building like a proper app and stuff. So yeah, that's the one advantage I guess of living here with like pro wrestling is that we get the dedicated WWE app, which is still we have a pause button that helps.
Yeah, right.
As I've heard you guys don't on Peacock.
We do. Yeah. Come on, I've dove, dived, dip, whatever the word is.
Dive, dip, dodge, and
dodge, duck, dive, and
dodge.
No.
You got to hump it in submission. That's the only way.
Yeah. No, I was not expecting dodgeball references on this podcast. Holy shit. No, there's pause buttons and there's rewinds and there's a lot of features on Peacock that weren't available when the network came up. Now, I love Peacock because you can also get Parks and Rec. You can get The Office. They actually are now, and I'm giving a free plug to Peacock, like they're paying me. So they have The Office super fan episodes where they've gone through and taken deleted scenes and added them into the episodes of The Office.
That's actually kind of cool.
They're like completely new episodes, Dingo. I swear to God, we'll talk about this off air. Do
you know why I don't watch The Office?
I don't want to. Because it's the John Cena of TV shows. Is that it?
No. I like to fuck chicks. Sorry.
PJ,
I actually don't like The Office. Like I'm very, very opinionated on that, but we won't go into that.
Well, PJ Steven, why don't you give us a kind of an upcoming Guardians Warlock update?
Yeah. Again, like we mentioned, we're just doing a lot of writing for this month, man. And February is really going to start kicking off. We are in the middle of designing our brand new merch for the year, which I'm really stoked to see that. We've got a lot of great ideas brewing up. So that's a lot of fun as well, man. And we are just out there just trying to write, man. Like we wrote 5 new songs for the EP, and we're going to write probably 5 or 6 more by the start of the summer. So we're really kicking those up, man. Things are really good moving with it, and we can't wait for the future, dude. Guardians Warlock is really playing some some out-of-state shows that are really going to propel us up, and I'm stoked for it. So good shit, man. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, make sure
check us out. Yeah, check us out on our Spotify, just our Guardians Warlock. Our Instagram is Guardians Warlock as well, and our Facebook it's just Guardians Warlock. That's with apostrophe S. I've had a couple people ask us. I guess there's a gaming channel called Guardians Warlock on YouTube. So a couple of our friends have subscribed to that guy. So good for on him. He has 15 subscribers now. So good on that guy. And I think 13 of them I can see are from people who know my band. So good job, that guy.
Good stuff. Again, follow him at Guardians Warlock and make sure you follow Dingo on Twitch at McThorsome. As far as this show, there are 3 matches that I think are must-see matches. The Stardom Exhibition Tag Team match, the no disqualification IWGP United States Championship match, and the main event is something to behold from night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom. I mentioned we've got some fun stuff coming up. We don't have a set schedule, but we do have a Royal Rumble best of show coming along with Royal Rumble 2022. Something that was pitched to us and that we're going to do. We're going to do some deep dives on some professional wrestlers in specific years that we're going to try to break down on the show this year. Booker T, 1997 and 1998. We're going to deep dive into Goldberg's undefeated streak. A deep dive into Trish Stratus. We're also obviously it's WrestleMania season, so when WrestleMania comes, we're going to have a WrestleMania show. We've also got some listener requests that we need to take care of, including Halloween Havoc 1991 and an episode of WCW. Listen to me, WWE Superstars from June 26th, 1993. So that will be coming up soon. But that was the show for this week. I want to again thank you, Dingo, for joining us for both Wrestle Kingdom Night 1 and 2. Thank you so much for coming here. This has been a pleasure, and we're going to have you on again soon.
Yeah, that was really a blast. That was really a blast, man. I appreciate you coming. Anytime I can get a chance to talk to old Dingo, man, it's a blast because not only is your knowledge of pro wrestling and especially New Japan just really over the top, but you're just a pleasure to talk to. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Like, it's definitely fun. I'll if we can organize this, do it again soon. I'm more than happy to come back. So
I got to ask you too, man, like real quick before we sign off here, like we're the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking a lot about Warrior Rumble. If you had to narrow it down, what do you think your favorite Warrior Rumble might be?
Controversial, but it's got to be 2004.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm totally fucking with you there.
Obviously, the looking at it in hindsight, with obviously who the winner was, that push from 1 to 6, that push from 1 to 30 of that particular superstar, I think was probably one of the best written Rumbles ever.
Listen,
obviously, he who must not be named is the winner, but
this isn't WWE. We can say Chris Benoit, okay? Christopher Benoit. That's the name.
Chris Benoit.
We can say vacant. We can say the vacant.
Vacant one. The one where vacant won.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to get that question from you, man. Again, I really appreciate it. And guys, like Bully said here, we have so much great content coming to you guys, and they're not just pay-per-view reviews. We want to give you guys like fresh and new content every single week for your wrestling needs, man. And it's gonna be a lot of cool plans that we have on the horizon. So please stay tuned for Tapouts and Touchdowns, man, because we're giving you some really, really cool stuff that we're really proud of and happy about, and we hope you guys are too.
Yes.
And I'll throw a recommendation for you too as well. I'll find out what episode it is, but it's the worst episode of Impact Wrestling. And I think I know some people might know which one I'm talking about.
That sounds like a great show to review.
I'm into that.
To second PJ Steven, Dingo, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Not just your knowledge and your sophisticated speaking, but your accent also makes you sound more intelligent than PJ and I combined. So once again, thank you so much for being on the show with us, and we'll have you back again soon. PJ, as always, thank you for helping co-host the show, and for the rest of the audience. This has been Tapouts and Touchdowns for Dingo, for PJ Steven. It's your guy, Bully Rye. I'll be around.